Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody today? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, those of you who are tuning in. Thank you so much for those of you who tuned in last week. And thank you so much if you're tuning in to hear our second session on the many shades of beauty. So for those of you who weren't able to tune in last week and you were able to hear the session, and those of you who are new, welcome to Mamlakak MBN Broadcast Network. My name is Ambassador Renee Johnson Miller, and it's indeed a pleasure to be here with you. What I want to talk to you about is our continuation for the many shades of beauty. Last week, I shared with you what my purpose is. For those of you who's still trying to figure out what your purpose is, it's somewhat, it could be a long journey, but one day it'll come to you. For me, my purpose, I know as a beauty industry professional and consultant, I realized a little late and early, that just not being a cosmetologist, because I'll be a cosmetologist for life. I know that. Not just being a cosmetologist, but also having to have the opportunity to help people from the outside. There were times when I had to really talk to people and talk them through some very unique situations. And so then I was able to put my finger on the pulse and realize that I'm an external and internal beauty consultant. I'm also a bridger. I'm somebody who bridges gaps. If there's a challenge and I can help, my motto is, if I can help someone along the way, then I know my living will not be in vain. So with you today, I'd like to continue sharing some beauty secrets. I would like to remind you, the listener, the importance of listening to that voice. You know, that inner voice sometimes perks you and tells you, hey, you wrong, you're right, whatever it is, whatever that thing that is called your conscience, that causes you to know right from wrong, to understand the difference, and ask God for the wisdom, for discernment. You know, I was talking to one of my siblings the other day, and she was like, people have hurt me and people have done this, but I don't understand discernment. I don't understand, how is it that I allow it to happen? Why do I let it happen? And then she said, but one of the things, though, I think is, I don't know how to discern. And I said to her, there, sis, you do have the spirit of discernment. The challenge is the tongue. The challenge is, what are you telling yourself? What are you saying? You said to me, you know people are doing things to you. But then you say with that same tongue, you curse yourself and you say, but I don't know, but I can't. So I'm here to tell you the beauty of being or listening to the Holy Spirit, or listening to the Spirit. If you don't want to call it the Holy Spirit, listening to your conscience. The beauty in that is understanding the difference. Ask God to give you the wisdom. Remember the prayer of serenity? You remember that prayer? You say, Lord, teach me to know the difference, give me the wisdom to know the difference. So again, when you are asking for something, be prepared to get the answer. Be prepared to use the answer now, because you can be given the answer, but yet because in your stubbornness and because of habits, you then decide, I'm not going to change. But then there's a catch-22. When there's a challenge in your life, or when there's an opportunity for you to make a change, only you can make that change. So today, what I'd like to talk to you is about having these challenges, but understanding discernment, understanding that you live in the world, you are in the world, but we are admonished that we're in, but not of. So to me, what that interprets is, I'm going to be in this world. I'm going to be tempted. I'm going to be tried. I'm going to be given situations where I don't have all the answers. And the same thing for you. You're going to be put in situations where you don't have the answer. You don't understand because you're in the world, but you're not supposed to be off the world. So here comes that spirit of discernment where you are able to discern the things that you ought to know. But the only way you can discern if you understand the word. And if you don't have the word in you, I'm sorry, the only thing that's going to come to you is what's already in there. I've seen young people for the last few years, this new generation, or even older people. So I'm not even going to just say the new generation, man, women, beast, whomever. I've seen so many times where we use these strong words to describe situation. I remember many days when I'm staying upstairs where I live and I'm looking downstairs, school's out, and I see the kids passing and the kids are passing and I hear profanity. I mean, things that I myself, I remember I used to do too. So I'm not exempt. You're not exempt. But these are things that happened in my past. And so the thing is, that's what's in. So for me, in order for me to change that, I had to find new information. I had to download new information. It's like a computer. People always say the computer messed up. No, no, no. The computer didn't mess up. The computer only regurgitated what you put there. So the same thing with us. We are only able to regurgitate what we put in. But as I shared with you last time, I talked to you about beauty for ashes. I want to go into that a little bit more. Beauty for ashes. What that means is it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful reminder when we are reminded of when we go through the worst circumstances and they turn into something that can be turned into something great. You know, the car burned up, God forbid, the Hurricane Dorian. I remember many hours sitting up and just asking, what happened? Why is this happening? In the Bahamas, there was just complete devastation. And then, you're wondering, you say, I'm here to say to you, all of these things you go through, you can have hope that you are going to come out on the other side of sorrow and shout of praise, and you're going to be able to rejoice one day. And then, you had the loss. I mean, I have a very dear friend of mine who lost, a relative in that. And many people who I know lost relatives. And then there were people who were stuck in their homes. But if you understand what happened, and if you can accept grief, then you can overcome it. No, I am not saying to you that it's easy, but I'm just saying to you the beauty of it. The beauty for ashes is what I'm talking about. The beautiful part of going through those challenges is literally coming out on the other side. You know what happened on the other side? You know what the beauty was? Some people got brand new homes. Some people, the government had to provide temporary housing. Some people even got they were given brand new vehicles. I know there was a presentation of a lady in my church, which she'd helped so many people. There was a presentation, somebody just thought it fitting to present her with a brand new Mercedes with the key insured, just ready for to go on the street. So in all of that, with all of that drama and catastrophe and travesty and devastation, on the other side of it, some people were granted a new beginning, a new start. And so that's what I'm here to tell you today. The beauty of having challenges, the beauty of going through, the beauty of loss, the beauty of lack is understanding when you place yourself in the master's hand, how important it is for you to recognize what and whom you are, who you are, and know that there is always a chance to start again. This external beauty that I was privileged to help to beautify. I did makeup, I did the hair, I did weddings. Sometimes people come to me and they say, "Oh, you did my wedding some years ago," and I'm smiling because over time people change, and over time I would have done so many weddings in my time until I really don't remember. But I am honored to know that I was able to play a role to help somebody along the way. And there are people who I did, and their marriage really didn't last, but it's okay. Some of them may have made some difficult challenge situations, were in difficult situations and caused some challenging things. I don't know. But I am here to say to you, to those of you who are listening under the sound of my voice, it's okay. It may not seem okay when you are going through it. But let me tell you something, the superficial beauty, the superficial, the external beauty, that is only skin deep. You know, I know you've probably heard, you've seen people, and you said, oh, she is so pretty. She's beautiful. Oh my God, her skin, his skin. Oh, he's handsome. Oh my word. His hair is so well kept. He's well groomed. You know, I did men and women hair. I was a unisex salon. And when they open their mouth, you say, oh my God, this person isn't who, because for society tend to make us believe that this outer shell, this thing that we look at, the thing that we get up in the morning and we wash our face and brush our teeth, we clean our bodies, the world has this thing about making us feel like we are just ready to adopt or to take on anything. And then when a challenge hit, we crumble. I'm here to tell you that superficial beauty is so surface, it is so temporal, it's shallow, and it's known as vanity. And so if you take off this outer shell, if you take off this external thing, this thing that causes you to feel like you're superior and others are inferior, if you take that off and you start to look at yourself and say, hey, you know what? I am more than this. I'm more than just this little external thing. Let me just go back a bit, because last time I told you about some of the experiences I've had and when I grew up. But I grew up again with very humble beginnings. I remember, when I turned 17, going on 18, I was about to come out of school, and I came from a very single home. My mother was really, really. When I look back in hindsight, you ever say hindsight is 2020. Listen, I admire everything about her, because I remember my mother coming home making $50 a week from the grocery store. That was her pay. $50 a week with 6 girls, no boys. Imagine that, girls, no boys. So girls always need things, but the thing was, I was always so tiny, so the hand-me-downs never fitted me at all. So I had to always wait for new clothes or whenever I could. And as I remember, my siblings, I'm the baby, of course, and my 6 siblings, we lived in a one bedroom, actually 2 bedroom. My mom had the one bedroom and we shared the other bedroom. And I remember when we got inside plumbing, I was 17 going on 18. I ran close to my neighbor and I said, hey, girl, come girl, I need you to see this. Not knowing that she was so accustomed to that. I wasn't new. As a matter of fact, when she came over and she saw that I was showing her inside plumbing, I saw this displeasure on her face. I saw where she just literally like, okay, nice, But it didn't dawn on me that, because in my excitement, that was something she was accustomed to. She never had to go through it. See, growing up, I remember our house was a little small house, and I remember we was paying. I think my mother was leasing a property, and then the people wanted their property to do whatever they wanted to do on it. And so my mother had to get a trailer to move our little house and set it in another place. We actually did that like twice until we were able to find a property that we called our own. And I remember moving from that place to the next place. But one of the things I always recall was we sat down for dinner, we ate what was cooked. See, young people now, I hear some of my colleagues say, "Oh, my daughter," or their kids say, "My daughter doesn't eat this. My daughter doesn't eat. My son doesn't eat this. So I have to cook 2 pots." But let me tell you, that didn't happen in my home. You didn't eat something, you just didn't eat. You ate whatever you could eat from out of that. If mommy cooked soup and you didn't like the okra, you pick out the meat and you pick out what you want, and that was all that was cooked. And I recall so many different things about my past. I recall, bush teas. I don't know. that if any of you could recall that, we went outside. We didn't have tea bags. We had Lipton tea that was like a gourmet thing. But for the most part, we went outside. We picked the fever grass. We picked the avocado leaves. We picked there was something called strong bark. My uncle always talked to us about this thing called strong bark. That is how I grew up. But you want me to tell you now, based on how I grew up and the dilly trees, I watch the kids walk past the dilly trees and the canap. These are things we ate. That was our supplement. That was what we ate for lunch and dinner. I remember going to school many days without lunch, many days not knowing what I would eat. I remember walking miles and miles to school, walking. There was no vehicle. And then even when my mom got a car, she would sometimes have an opportunity to drop us. But for the most part, my mom was a lunch vendor. So dropping us to school was like, it was like a hit and miss. So you get dropped to school if she was available. And then also, I remembered when my mom was a lunch vendor, my sister and I, my sister that was a little older than me, because we were like a ladder. We were like a step ladder. I'm the youngest. And my sister was 1 year older than me. So we like 21, 22, 23, 24. We went straight up the ladder to six kids. So one of my siblings, two of my siblings, they actually have birthday in 1 year. And so what I'm saying is, so they spend 1 month at the same age. These memories I have are memories that created this foundation for me. I don't take things for granted. I don't look down on people. I don't think I'm better than anybody because I've aspired to be. But my whole inclination now is to be an influencer, is to be someone who can help somebody else, someone who can literally show people that even if you start from one position in life, there's no way under the sun that you can't aspire to be what it is you want to be. So the beauty in everything I experienced helps me today. It helps me to be better. It helps me not to be bitter. Because when you're bitter, you tend to think about things that didn't happen. You tend to think about things that went wrong. You tend to think about all the things that keeps you so down. You want to step on other people because everybody else did you wrong. Oh, my mother didn't do this for me. My daddy did do this for me. I grew up in a home where at the age of 2, I didn't have a father figure. Big deal. I grew up in a home when I turned 18. I wanted a passport. I'd never leave the island other than to go to Eleuthera to some of my mom's friends. So I didn't know what it was to even hop on an aircraft to go to the US of A. But I heard my friends saying stuff like, oh, we went to Miami. I was like, Miami? And so I wanted to know where this Miami was. And back in the day, though, I remember going with my mom and my dad to Miami because back then we didn't need a passport. We just needed your police record. So I remember going there and I was like, wow, I want to go here again. Now, when I became 18, I went to my mother and I said, hey, I want my passport. Can I get my passport? I heard about this thing called passport. And so she gave me this paper. She said, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to need this paper. I took the paper and I read it, and it said, your name is Johnson, not Paris. And it told me my reasons. My mother never gave me an explanation. She never told me anything. All she said is, if you're going to get your passport, this is what you're going to need. Listen, I'm sharing this with you to tell you this. There are things you will never understand. Your parents, your mother, your father, you are admonished. You are admonished to honor your mother and your father that your days may be long upon this earth. Now, don't get me wrong. I wanted to understand what happened. I wanted to know why is it all my life I was in school as a Paris and all of a sudden I'm a Johnson. So anyway, I didn't question. You never question your parents back then. I see right now children suing parents, parents allowing kids to do whatever they wanted. The beauty in being corrected, the beauty in understanding the word, the beauty in in saying, listen, I made a mistake, because we all make mistakes. There are parents who literally did things to their children, because the Bible says also, provoke not your children to wrath. So there are parents out there doing things to their children that are unworthy, or definitely not something they ought to do. However, there's something called forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't for me, it's for it's not for them, it's for you. If you don't forgive, I forgave my mother for whatever reason she had to do what she had to do. I'm not questioning it. It happened, it's the past. I'm going to leave that in the sea of forgetfulness, and I will continue. Me changing my name to Johnson, I'm still alive. I'm still able to do. And many days I sat down with my mother and I listened to the horrible stories of what happened to her in our past. So sometimes you need to sit down with your parents, or sit down with somebody who can talk to you, somebody who can share with you why you went through what you went through. Because the beauty in it is when you can accept you cannot change the past. The beauty is in when you can literally acknowledge that something happened, but you, instead of being better, you can be better. And so I chose to be better, because for me, being better causes me to sleep in the night, causes me to be able to look someone in the eye and don't be angry or upset, or don't be shamed. Why am I going to be shamed of something I have no control over? See, we got to put shame and guilt where it ought to be. We ought to say to ourselves, listen, I was born as an individual. I was born. Who am I? Is what I need to discover. Whose I am, whose I am, is what I have discovered. I am a child of the King. I have been brought on and put on this earth to be able to assist and to help and to beautify internally or externally, and to share with you that even in pain, you can be better. You know, I also like to say to you, when we want to accomplish things, that same past that you've been through, that's what keeps me actually. When I think about the struggles my mother had, and I think about how at the age of 14, my mother was married. At the age of 23, my mother had 6 children. That was her story. That's the hand she was dealt. As I got older, and at the age I'm at now, that's her story. I am a product of my mother. But what I recognize in Proverbs 10:4, it says, slack hand causes poverty. See, what my mother went through, she had to go through what she had to go through because my grandmother had, I think, 14 or 15 children. And so she only could do what she could do. She was dealt that hand. And so whatever happened during that time, why am I going to take that on? I'm not taking that on. And I would advise you, you have stories that you can share, I'm sure. But I want to tell you, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing. When you are sluggard, when you do nothing, when you try not to help yourself, you have to be diligent at whatever it is you want to do. You have to ascribe the things that is healthy, that is going to cause you to understand the importance of using that same past to propel you to the future. You know, there were times when I relied on my parents, to take care of me. There were times when I had to. I was a child. I couldn't, I couldn't do any better. But one of the things my mother always encouraged me was be the best I could be. My mother always told us, that, go buy some property. Now she could tell me go buy property, but if she don't know how to tell me to get it, she only can share with me what she knows. She only can share with me what she had experienced. Leaving school and getting married at 14 or whether my mom said she was a little fast back then. But being fast or not, you still have choices. You young person out there, you out there who's listening to me. The decisions we made, some weren't good. But the beauty in making those decisions is a foundation that you can Okay, I'm not going to do that. And those were the things that I said that I wasn't going to do. Some of the things my mother did. But at 23, I found myself, 22, I found myself pregnant with my first child. And at 24, 25, my second child. So, and I was not married. So, but I don't beat myself over the head about it. What can I do today that I didn't do yesterday? What can I show my children that I did not have the opportunity to be shown when I was a child? What can I show somebody else's child? What is it I have that I can offer? When I started my salon back in 1991, it was really through a necessity. It was moving from one stage of life to the next. It was like I was going through some stuff. I again, I said to you in my last podcast, I had found and met the man of my dreams, and he just took me from, you know, from poverty straight into to health and to wealth. So for me, I did this sudden move, and here all of a sudden I had to do a sudden descent. But again, mentorship, learning to listen to others, learning from others' mistakes. And this is what you could do from me, learn from my mistakes, especially if you're young, especially if you have some things that you want to accomplish. Listen to your elders. Don't move the landmark. Don't move it where you want to change something to suit what it is you want. See, the beauty in understanding what you would or somebody else has gone through is saying, okay, analyze it. Well, if she went through that and she did that and that didn't work for her, go the opposite way. Drugs and cocaine or whatever, that was never my thing. That for me, I always had a natural high. You can tell, right? I always had a natural high. Now, as far as drinking beers and drinking, fine. That's something I did. But when I was ready to get out of that, I said, now, God, you have to take this taste out of my mouth. And you know what? The beauty is, He took it out. So even now, when somebody tries to offer me maybe a nice cup of a glass of red wine, I take a sip and I'm like, I'm done because I asked Him to take the taste. Now, I'm not telling you that it's going to happen the same way for you. No, but I'm telling you, clarity of mind and thoughts is so important to me. It's vital. You know, I've had the opportunity, and there were times, even from my background, I had the opportunity to actually work on a key. I had my salon. I opened my salon in 1991. It was trial and error. I remember opening my salon with a chair. The floor was bare, nothing to do, nothing in there, no staff. And then the business just started growing and growing. And in between there, I had an offer to come work on a key as a massage therapist. So as a massage therapist, I want to tell you, I met people like Andre Agassi, Brooke Shields, Queen Sarah Ferguson. I met Demi Moore, Bruce Willis, and their kids, Roma Talulu and Scout. I met them. But that never impressed me. But I saw some of the things I was able to see. I was like, if this is what wealth does, I don't want it. Not that I didn't want to be wealthy or rich. You have to make up in your mind that you won't sacrifice truth, honesty. You won't you won't do things that compromises your character, and that you will stand firm on the truth. And so even though I had that exposure, they were the wealth, they were the rich ones. I wanted to be where they were. And at that time I was going through that same thing. I had it all. But what I did also is what I want to recommend for you today. You want to enhance your work. You want to enhance yourself. You want to enhance what you have. You want to enhance that natural gift. Then you want to go, you want to attend seminars and workshops. Go in your local organization, Chamber of Commerce. Go to different workshops and integrate with different businesses. Network, 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 network. You don't have to be that spiritually connected that you don't network. You are in the world, but you're not off the world. So that means there are things in the world that you're still going to have to be in there. As a business person, as somebody who wants to go into business, you have to mingle at some point in your life, because the information that you will garner from others will cause you to make sometimes better decision, or you may say, I'm not going to go that road. I'm not going to go that way. But let me also share a little bit more about myself. In 1996, I joined a cosmetology association where we traveled abroad. And that was one of the highlights of my career. You would go off, and then by 19, I think it was in 9 years later, I had my doctorate degree. But then you would go for like a week at a time to these things. You were exposed to, I mean, international gurus, people who had made marks and who were multimillionaires and what have you. However, and at this stage, I have a doctorate, two bachelors, but that doesn't make who I am. It assisted me to be better in making decisions or what have you. But it wasn't enough because I want to tell you that, when life happens to you, even though you have all of these degrees, because you've seen it, even though you have all the money in the world, that's a beautiful thing. But when the school of hard knocks hit, the school of life, no textbook, no college degree, no award, no employee of the year, no plaque or promotion is adequate. A lot of people hear this, oh, you have to fake it to make it kind of thing. But what I'm here to say to you is this: you don't have to fake it to make it. You just know who you are and whose you are. In Genesis 1 to 29, it's a summary. God made heaven and earth, and then he separated the sky from the land, and then he created land and sea. And he also created every seed bearing plant for food. He created creatures that filled the waters and the land. He made the greater light to govern the day, and then he made the lesser light to govern the night. And so we call it morning and evening, right? And now here's where you and I came in. Then he said, even though I did all of this, something's missing. It's a void. So in 26, he says, let's make man in our own image, in our likeness. You imagine what that is? In our image and our likeness. So they could rule over the fish and the sea and the birds and the sky and the livestock and the wild animals and over all the creatures all around, along the ground. So he created man in his own image, in his own likeness. So what I'm saying to you now is, even though these things we'll accomplish and we aspire to be, and we make good on our quest for a better lifestyle, for a bigger home, for everything, you don't have to worry about where the next dollar coming from. You toil all day. Bible tells you, man no work, you don't eat. And you do all these things. One of the things you must not forget is whose you are, why you were created. So when you created, you were created to govern, but not people. You want there to be the authority. You know what authority of me. I'm not the authority of you. But we were here given authority over the land, over the sea. We were told to subdue it. Subdue it. Multiply. It doesn't mean just go multiply children and have all these children. I've heard that so many times. No, what it means is subdue the earth and make good on the things that I've given you. You realize that the land, the resources that it's in the land and the earth. Yesterday, I was watching this thing on channel. I don't know which, but on YouTube. And here it was. These people were digging beneath the ground, beneath the earth, and they were finding these different color stones I've never seen in my life. The resources. Under the ground, there's the oil. Under the ground, there's minerals. The trees, the trees with the seed and food to eat. And I'm saying to say this, these things were given for us to use, to help us. Back in the day, they only traded, right? But I watched them grab this piece of stone that was maybe this big. And they would call in somebody and they say, hey, I got something I need you to see. And they would say to these people, hey, this particular stone is I found this, and this is black opal, or this is so and so, whatever. And next thing I heard, there was like, this is for $60,000. Can you imagine now? We here in the Bahamas, or those of you who are around the world, if you would take this little bit of information and realize that same dirt that we're going to turn back into, that's your resources. man is right now manipulating this whole thing, the planet thing. We understand something happened in Dubai, the flood. We haven't had a flood like that in years. I just came from Dubai about 3 weeks ago. I just say, thank you, Lord, that I'm not there anymore. I'm saying to you, we manipulate things sometimes for our good, but then we do it and it causes catastrophic, change that happen catastrophically. But if we only understand how awesome we are, how great we are, how beautiful we were all made. Everybody's fingerprint is different. Every finger on my hand is different. I saw something where they're saying to us, when you're gonna talk, don't talk with your fingers up, because they have these technology now where people can actually take your fingerprints, zoom in, get your fingerprint, and use it for wow. And beauty could be where they use your fingerprint for solving crimes, eh? For when there's a time where there's something that they don't understand. But no, they're using it for harm, not for good. And I'm here to say to you today, the many shades of beauty, the many shades of beauty. It's such an awesome thing. When I was given this topic, and I was sitting down and I was like, Lord, I need, what is it? I mean, I've been in the beauty industry for 45 years, and I've seen people transform from one thing to the next. I won't say pretty to ugly, because he made all of us beautiful. And that's what he said to us. And I was like, but what is it can I share outside of just the physical daily grind? What is it I can say to people outside of this physical, um, this demand that we put on ourselves? How can I share how can I share how awesome you are? How can they know how beautiful you are? How can they know you heal? How can they know that even though you're not here, you left a comforter with us, that we have this comforter we can sit down and talk to. Sometimes I find myself talking to myself, but I'm not really talking to myself. I'm talking to the higher source. And I'm sure you do it yourself. And so when we think about all of these things that we have been given, I mean, there's a lot of people who do motivational talk, and I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be an inspirational speaker. I want to inspire somebody out there to do something, to understand that your challenges and your lack and your hurt and your pain, there's a beauty in there. Learn the lessons, understand why it happened. Don't rely on your personal inner thoughts that is going to just say angry things at you. Be angry, but sin not. I want you to understand the importance of really figuring out what it is. What is the lesson? People go around, I've been to many motivational things, and they say, hey, uh, either your cup is half full or it's half empty. But when I read my word, it says, and your cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy should follow me all the days of my life. So I'm not going to say their theory is wrong or right, but I know as for me and my house, my cup and your cup, it says, my cup runneth over, and surely goodness and mercy should follow me all the days of my life. Not some, not half. It didn't say half. you know. So if you could hold on to that, that's the 23rd Psalm. We always say it over and over. We also say the Lord is my shepherd. Then we say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Do you know how heaven is? The description I heard about in heaven, where the streets are made of gold. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. If we were to mesh all of that and start thinking about, this is temporary. What down here is temporary. Where I'm at is temporary. What I'm doing is temporary. Why am I building where I'm at now? That's temporary. When I get built on something that's not made with hand, something that's everlasting. Wow. Did that hit you? Because it hit me. So don't get very in well doing. You will reap what you sow. If you sow discord, you will reap it. If you sow anger, you will reap it. If you sow pain, you will reap it. We have this thing say karma, but it's called sowing. It's like if you plant a connep tree, it will not produce an orange tree. I see people now crossbreeding. They put a connep tree, they put the plant there. They use some aloes and whatever, and then they have apples going with the mango tree going with the pear tree. They have this collage of different fruits on one tree, but they put it there. Now, if they didn't put it there, then they wouldn't have all of these fruits. There was challenges in my life, like I said earlier. And I remember this thing came to me and said, "What's in your cupboard?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what's in my cupboard?" Yeah, what's in your cupboard? What's in your cupboard? The beauty is what's in your cupboard. Did you open your cupboard this morning and you saw one box of oatmeal and nothing else? Do you have water? Do you know if you add water that you can make it a meal? What's in your cupboard? I remember being down and out. I remember so vividly. I had $30 in the bank. $30. I mean, there was a challenges. I had no tenants. I have a sixplex. I had no tenants. I had no tenants in the building at that time. $30. And I remember being so depressed because you know why? I was in my mind. I was in my head. I forgot. I forgot who my source was. And I sat there and I cried. I didn't take a phone call. I didn't answer any calls. I just was, I wanted to wallow in self-pity. I wanted to just wallow. I didn't want anybody to say anything. But I prayed and I prayed and I cried and I cried. And I heard this voice. It said to me, "What's in your cupboard?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What's in my cupboard?" And I literally see when you take the time and you sit down and you decide that you're going to redirect your thoughts, and I got to the point of I'm not doing anything. I just start saying, "I'm not doing anything. I'm done. I'm done. I've done everything I can." That's what you're supposed to do. You're actually supposed to do that. And the beauty is that when you do that and you set yourself apart and you say, "I am not going to allow this situation or that situation to determine how I react, but I'm going to listen to that inner voice." And as I sat there and this word said, "What's in your cupboard?" I walked downstairs and I remembered I had all sorts of products for sale. And I was instructed. I was instructed to ask Dr. Miles when he was alive if I could sell my products at the Diplomat Center. And I decided I went and I didn't hesitate. I brushed myself off and I went to Pastor Miles. I used to sell honey back then. And I said to him, I said, "Pastor Miles," I said, "I have some honey. And God He's an on-time God. And having this honey, guess what? It was our fast time. We were fasting. And you know what he did? He said, "Bring me the honey, daughter." So he always called the mentees and what have you. And so I took the honey to him. And he took that honey and he put it on his podium and he said, "This honey was the best honey I've ever tasted." I'd already presented him with a case. And do you know that same day, I sold out of honey. The next day, the whole week, I was sold out of honey. I am saying this to say to you, the beauty in listening to that inner voice, the beauty in being set apart, the beauty in understanding that you have to trust the process. So I'm admonishing you. If you didn't take a pen or paper to write anything, start writing. Trust the process, but the process has to have God in it. Raise your level of expectations. I hear people all the time. "Oh, well, I know it's not going to happen. Oh, well, it don't make no sense. It ain't change. Everybody like this." Well, power in the tongue. Raise your expectation level. Stop operating by FATE. Stop kind of wait for something to happen, but operate by faith, not sight. There's a distinct difference. When you operate by faith, you would then operate almost, I would say, a tunnel vision because you're not looking at the things behind. You are so focused on what's ahead. You focus on what it is you know you're capable of. God is capable of changing. And then I want to also touch on this topic when it comes to relationships. Listen, you ain't ready for a relationship, don't get into none. See, because the beauty in being prepared for a relationship is out of, now, don't get me wrong now. I have to keep putting this disclaimer here. Everybody's experience is different, but how you handle it and what you do. See, me, I like to talk. I would talk to somebody I believe I could trust, somebody who I could, give me good guidance, not somebody who's going to tell me to throw caution to the wind. I learned that over the years. So I'm going to admonish you ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just talking to ladies. Stop looking for Boaz. I said it. And man, stop looking for Ruth. But instead, look for the traits or the qualities that were displayed during their sojourn on this earth. Okay, for instance, Ruth she followed instructions for Naomi. Boaz, again, he respected her. He respected us. We want people in our lives. We don't respect them. We just want what they could do for us. She never, ever, ever worried about what he could do for her. She followed instructions. She was humble. She was in braggadocious. She didn't forget Naomi. She did what she believed was necessary. Use these two individuals, use their character as a foundational example as to what you want in a mate. Listen, I'm not no expert. And just for the record, it may not happen the first, second, or third time. So, people always, oh, I'm not marrying nobody who have money. Oh, he have no money, can't come my way. He doesn't have money, he can't come my way. Listen, you can make money together. Okay, you can make money together. Remember I told you about those resources? The resources not only in the ground, there are these. He said your gift will make room for you. This right here, and this, he gave you this. Have you ever seen people in wheelchairs who literally just mesmerize you? Multi-million. You're not a gentleman who doesn't have any arms or legs. He's married with a family. Mesmerizing, isn't it? I am saying to you, he will take your mess and give you a message. He will take your test and give you a testimony. That you're lonely. There's billions of people on earth. Some of them regrets. Mistakes are bound to happen. And they're inevitable. Inevitable, you will make mistakes. Okay? My husband and I, we were only married 2 years. I waited. There was a time when I was celibate in my relationship for 12 plus years. Nobody believed it. I wasn't here to prove anything, but I'm saying to the young women out there, if you want a relationship, I remember Pastor Miles saying some things from the pulpit. Sometimes we are so close to that goal, and then we mess up. We mess up because somebody got in our ear and said to us, if you don't love me, if you love me, you'll do this. If you love me, you'll do that. No, if you love God, you'll take care of this. You will take your time. You will allow him to do the choosing. You won't look at the external things. Remember, we're in the world, but not of the world. So all I'm saying to you is there are billions and billions of people on this earth. Billions and billions of people. We live in a global sphere. You're not only in the Bahamas. You're not only if you're in the US. There are billions of people in the world. Who knows where your mate is? Stop limiting yourself. Stop limiting the capacity you have. Travel is so affordable now. I mean, you could travel by car, boat, train. Nowadays, you could be transported to the moon. You even could be transported to the deepest depths of the sea, the ocean. So when you understand who you are and whose you are, when you understand the importance of focusing in on the beauty that lies within, the things that is created in the fact that you were created special and unique and beautiful and all that good stuff, when you start downloading and changing, these are mindset. Change that mindset. Only you can change it. Don't become the person you don't like. I've heard it over and over and over. Sometimes you see in somebody who you are, but take the time to acknowledge that you could make a different choice, a different decision. Was I the best parent ever? I think not. Did I make mistakes? Oh yes, I did. Did I mess up relationships? Did I do things I ought not to do? Did I fornicate? Did I do things that was ugly? I did. But am I going to live a life of regrets? Am I going to be despondent? Am I going to sit down and just have a pity party? I refuse to. So the beauty in all of our experiences, the beauty in everything you may have went through, the thing that you want to listen to is really the Holy Spirit. Right? You wanna ask it for revelations and wisdom and understanding, and with all that, with all the knowledge you get, with all the knowledge you gain, ask for understanding. Solomon said, when it was time for him to make a decision on the mothers with the one child, you know, he told them, hey, well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this child in two, and then you can have a portion and the other person can have a portion. But what he did, he realized when he said that the real mother would never want their child hurt. So then the decision was clear. The mother whose child that belonged to was the woman who said, no, no, don't harm my child. Again, we are but mere mortals. We will make mistakes. But the beauty of being a mere mortal is you are given free will. Don't take this free will for granted. Don't take this free will. Well, this is my life. I hear it over and over. I hear people saying it over and over. This is my life. I'm going to make a decision that's best for me. And then when a crisis hit, who they call? The same person they just told, I'm going to make a decision that's best for me. No, you're not. You're in this world, but you need help. We need each other. We are supposed to be our brothers and sisters keeper. So instead of trying to be an individual all the time, instead of being somebody who literally tries to analyze every situation, find this word, find the word. You know, overcoming crisis is not easy. Overcoming challenges is not easy. But with all these billions of people in the world, with the leaders and the information that's out there and the resources, we can all have, a life that goes beyond all of our expectations. So I definitely would implore you to really think about how important it is, how important it is for you to seek a higher source, how important it is for you to understand that in every situation you have, there's a beautiful ending. You lost somebody. That's a hard pill. Somebody stole. I got scammed. I cannot tell you over maybe twice, three times. Scammed. I mean, these people would come and they would say things unsuspecting. They would say things that is so, mind boggling. You believe them, you trust them. But I would say to you, you trust the master, you trust in him, he will give you the spirit of discernment. And so now I'm very careful. I'm very careful. And before I make a decision, I ask him, now listen, this person said yes, no, this person said nay, yay. What do you say? And so it is a difficult thing sometimes to make these decisions. But the beauty in it is not trusting yourself, but trust the source, trust the master, trust the word, the constitution. And so, again, it has been my pleasure. I really hope and pray that everything or something, if only one person I'm able to reach today, that you are able to hear under the sound of my voice the importance of trusting the master, the importance of understanding that everything you went through, this too shall pass. But forgive. Forgiveness is not for the person, it's for you. Like my what's his name? Mandela said, forgiveness is for you. Holding on to anger and distrust and being so, so ready to be judgmental and saying, you're not going to forgive. I'm not forgiving this one because they did this to me. That's like drinking poison and hoping they die. Why? Forgive and move on. Forgive and move on. The beauty and forgiveness is you're free. You can fly like a bird. You can fly like an eagle. You can soar. You can look down and survey your surroundings. But do not forget to stay focused. Stay within his word, within the comfort of his arms. Be the best version of you can be. Instead of being bitter, get better. Because in getting better, it elevates you. And then you know what? When you are elevated, you can bring some other people with you. Instead of trying to just do things for you and for self-recommendation and self-praise, the beauty in inclusion is making sure you put your hand, it's like a baton. When somebody is running with the baton and you put your hand in the back, that person who's running in the front is focused to the front. And so the person who's coming behind with the baton is focused to ensure that that baton goes into that person's hand and they're able to continue the race. That's what we're here for, succession planning. Let's have succession planning. Teach somebody else, reach somebody else. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. Now the thoughts will come when someone hurt you. But get that thoughts out of your mind. You know, being a married woman now, it's a different kettle of fish for me. Because I've been single for 58 years. And so hitting the tender age of 60, I'm proud of it. Yes, I know I look like I'm 25. Thank you so much. Yes. But hitting this age, I have been very, very aware of how I react and how I respond, because I could be very temperamental, and can't be all, but I've asked God to temper that. Bring me into the realm where I should be. Help me to be a helpmate. Help me to be able to complement, not complicate my situation. Help me to be somebody who adds value. And that's what I would ask for you. Being able to add value, that's the beauty. Adding value. Who are you that you're going to demand that somebody give you, somebody pour into you, when all you do is take? Don't be a taker. Be a giver. Don't be a talker. Be a doer. Because when you are a doer, what happens is you can manifest those things that you talk, that you speak. So in closing, again, thank you for the pleasure of tuning in. Thank you for the pleasure of having me. My podcast will begin for 15 minutes once a week, starting next month. And it is called The Many Shades of Beauty. And I thank Mamlakak Broadcasting Network for assisting me in this vein. Thank them for allowing me to use this as a platform so that I can share with the world what I believe the Lord has shared with me. So again, I thank you for tuning in. I really pray that something that was said today would help you to better understand how beautiful you are. You are beautiful inside and out. So thank you so much. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your wonderful day.